today. But earlier, 3 weeks ago, he did 82, 73, 69, and then 91. The last 4 weeks, he has been balling in terms of his accuracy, not to mention in that 4-game stretch, 7 passing touchdowns. So when you look at where this team is currently sitting and the aspirations they have, it starts with 2 individuals, the head coach and Mike Vrabel and the quarterback in Drake Maye, because he's playing with an abundance of confidence and he is spreading the football around the football field to his players that are actually exceeding the expectations when you look at the pass catchers.
We talk about taking that step forward, JJ, in a sophomore season, but he's quite literally addressing all that we put in front of him a year ago, the shortcomings in terms of accuracy. Downfield accuracy is on pace to make the largest jump we've ever seen in NFL history. But to B-Mac's point, the personnel for Vrabel might be the best he's had in a couple years. Personnel for the quarterback here still is wanting in something. How impressed are you in the numbers he's getting to with the group around him?
Yeah, no, it is. It's very impressive because, look, they could still add a running back. Antonio Gibson went down. We're still waiting to see more from Travion Henderson. And, of course, you can't really trust on a week-to-week basis Ramondre Stevenson because of his fumbling issues. We do believe there are going to be some wide receivers on the move over these next couple of weeks. Perhaps the New England Patriots can get their hands on one of them. Also, edge rusher could be a spot. I know we're talking offensively for the Patriots, but if they could get one of those guys that can really set the edge, who could really rush the passer, that would even take this team to another level there in New England. But credit Drake Maye, who, as an MVP voter, I was waiting last week before I could introduce him into my top 5 voting, right? Okay, let's just see the young man keep doing it. He just did it again. I would have no problem if the vote had to be right now.
He'd be in your top 5.
He would be in my top 5.
Stacking bricks, one on top of another, Mac, before we move on to more games here. Safe space, right?
Yes, it is. This is a safe
At
space.
what point can we start being critical about the play of Cam Ward? I know what is stacked against him and the hurdles he has to clear to just move the football down the field. But some of the giveaways we're seeing, the completion percentage, some ugly sacks taken, where can you be critical of the first year?
I think now is the time, because when you're a rookie in the National Football League playing the quarterback position, of course, being a part of a bad team, you're going to struggle. But the unforced errors have oftentimes surfaced in Cam Ward's game too much. Once again, a fumble, right? You had pressure coming down the teeth of the offensive line, but you cannot explain just dropping the football in the midst of a throwing motion that led to a defensive touchdown for the New England Patriots. And we saw the same thing last week. So these are the things that you got to get out of your system, regardless who the head coach is moving forward. You have to be a quarterback that can protect the football, because when you turn the football over often in the National Football League, you're going to lose a lot of ball games.
I cannot disagree more in terms of we got to be patient, man. I mean, obviously the ball slipped out of his hands twice, 2 plays. I get that. Today, completion percentage, 25 or 34. Okay, 225 and a touchdown, and an INT and a lost fumble. Who on the Titans is playing well? Because I'll tell you, their running back, Tony Pollard, who's making a lot of money, he had 18 yards rushing. Jeffrey Simmons is playing well. He was on the sideline today with injury. The receivers have not been playing well. They've been dropping the ball. Oh, by the way, the head coach is fired. And by the way, the offensive line coach, who's the head coach's dad, is not there anymore. So if you're the quarterback, the number 1 draft pick, we fire the head coach 7 games into the season, and you don't have your offensive line coach, who's one of the best in the league. So you think about your safety. I mean, what is the future of Cam Ward when you don't even have an offensive line coach capable on the staff?
And a credit to the young man and the young talent that is Cam Ward, who is going to be the first to raise his hand and say, I got to be better. But the team as a whole has to be better around him. He does lead the league in sacks taken and has the lowest completion percentage currently in the NFL. We got more to come here on HQ Postgame as we look at some numbers out of this one. The Pats, 5-2, have already surpassed the win total from the past 2 seasons. And for Vrabel, the feather in his cap, surpassing the win total of the Tennessee Titans the last 2 seasons combined. Battery of personnel options at Patrick Mahomes' display here. What did you make of the way that he did distribute the ball to everybody at all times?
It's scary hours for opposing defenses when they play against Kansas City with Pat Mahomes having a full arsenal of high-level skill players surrounding him. Pat Mahomes was already cooking. The last few weeks, he's been playing some really inspired football. But now you add Rashee Rice back into the fold, highly motivated with what he already had going on with, you look at Hollywood Brown and the rest of the guys. I mean, at his disposal, it's almost like pick and choose what you want to do and how you want to do it. And that's what we saw. So now with the offense having the high-level pass catchers, the running game finally surfaced. When you look at Isaiah Pacheco, as a team, they rushed for over 150 yards on the ground. So now a sense of balance is there because of the quality pass catchers that Pat Mahomes has.
Logan, it's the pillars of winning football that we're seeing here from the Chiefs. But talk to me about what Coach Spags' group did to this Raiders offense that rendered them almost non-existent.
They pitched a shutout. That is so hard to do in the NFL. In my 11-year career, I've had one shutout in 11 years. And that's because to not let the team even attempt or kick a field goal is really hard in the NFL. That is dominance. And that's what the Chiefs, that's the scary thing about the Chiefs is as well as they played offensively, they play that well defensively. It's like they have two head coaches on that staff with Spagnuolo and Andy Reid. And to allude to B-Mac real quick, the balance that they're establishing, when you get to the red area against the Chiefs, the exotics, the plays that they pull down, them being 4 of 5 in the red zone. Mm-hmm. I've been in Bill Belichick meetings. I've been in meetings with Dick LeBeau. I've been in all types of meetings with Hall of Fame defensive play callers. And it's a long meeting preparing for what the Chiefs can do with those weapons in the red zone.
You talked about the defensive dominance. The Raiders were 0-7 on third down. They had 95 yards of total offense for 4 quarters. And Geno, his average of completion was 4.2 yards per average throw. That's losing football. Not to mention for the entire ball game, they only had 3 first downs compared to 30 by Kansas City. So to Logan's point, Steve Spagnuolo, yes, he was going against a short-handed offense, but he made sure he didn't give them any glimmer of hope to really make them feel like they can make this thing competitive.
Well, very short-handed for the Raiders, right? We're already talking about a team that's probably bottom half of the NFL in terms of talent on the roster. That's the reason that they have a new head coach, a new general manager there, right? So when they're down Jacoby Myers, who is their only wide receiver, and he's inactive for the game. When they're down Brock Bowers, who was doubtful for this week, and then obviously inactive for that game. And then when Ashton Genty's really only had one game where he's been able to run because they haven't been able to figure out the offensive line, when Geno Smith always turns the football over, so he's not even taking chances down the field anymore. I don't know how you're going to be able to generate any sort of offense against Steve Spagnuolo's defense. That's also a name, Steve Spagnuolo. You know, he keeps winning Super Bowls as a defensive coordinator. Maybe we should start throwing his name in some head coaching candidate discussions at some point. That's for a later time. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, when Max Crosby leaves the game, who is their best player, and he left that game, it's going to be tough sledding for the Raiders. I also want to point out for the Chiefs, credit them as well. They're doing this without Josh Simmons, who is their week 1 left tackle, and Trey Smith didn't return to the game, only played 15 snaps and then left with injury. So they're playing, and Patrick Mahomes is playing at an MVP level with missing 2 of his offensive linemen.
Attrition touching all, but maybe the attrition this league will face will be named the Kansas City Chiefs once again, looking like they have eyes for the top of the AFC now above water. 4-3 on the season following this latest victory. This is the largest shutout by either team in the history of this head-to-head between the Chiefs and the Raiders. Also marks Andy Reid's first regular season shutout. Patton's Titans going up on CBS and the Mike Vrabel Bowl. Or is it the Logan Ryan Bowl?
There you go.
I like Logan Ryan better.
A lot happening in both